Curved phones have been in the market since late 2013. One of the first ones to hit the scene was the LG G Flex. The original G Flex was a massive 6-inch beast that was plagued with a horrendous display and underwhelming specs all around. Fast forward to Q2 of 2015, and LG has finally launched the LG G Flex 2 in the States. LG cut down the display to a more manageable 5.5-inch size, added a much higher end display, and beefed it up with some very impressive specifications. With that in mind, you'd think the G Flex 2 would be one of the most exciting smartphones of the year. Unfortunately, the phone leaves much to be desired, especially after its $299 price tag on AT&T with a new 2-year contract. So just what makes this phone such a beautiful letdown? Let's find out. Hey there everybody, my name is Joe Maring, and before I go too far into my full review of the LG G Flex 2, I'm going to have to ask you one thing, and that is to please go ahead and grab that coffee cup, fill it up, bring it over, and sit on down. And take a swig from your mobile cup of Joe. The minute you take the LG G Flex 2 out of the box, it's immediately apparent that we're dealing with a very special smartphone. Unlike pretty much every other handset that's currently out there, the G Flex 2 features a 700-degree radius curve. Now that curve does a few things for the phone. The most obvious is just how damn good this device really looks. Although the curve may not be quite as intense as it was on the original G Flex, it still does a great deal at being both flashy and elegant at the same time. It looks like no other flagship we've seen so far this year, and that makes it an absolute head-turner. And you know what? I really dig that about the G Flex 2. Along with looking stunning, the curve in the G Flex 2 allows it to be one of the most comfortable smartphones I've ever held. When handling the phone in one hand, the curve molds beautifully into your palm. It's an incredibly natural feeling, and I really found myself missing the pronounced curve when going back to using my Moto X. When you aren't using the phone in one hand, the curved screen makes for a fantastic viewing experience when watching YouTube videos or playing games. Now this may sound like an exaggeration, but when consuming media on the G Flex 2, it honestly feels like you're holding a little movie theater in the palm of your hand. The curved display just works that well. As for the technical aspects of the display, we're looking at a 5.5-inch screen size with a resolution of 1920 by 1080. The display uses a OLED panel, so colors are nice and vibrant with very deep blacks. However, the screen isn't without a couple faults. If you look too closely at the display, you can see that some colors have a bit of a textured look to them, especially grays. The texturing isn't as bad as it was on the original G Flex, but it's definitely still there. On top of that, the screen is also rather dim, making it very difficult to see in direct sunlight when used outdoors. Another aspect that's holding this back from being the perfect phone to consume media on is a lackluster speaker. LG placed a speaker on the back of the phone, and although audio does manage to get loud, it's able to get muffled very easily and lacks any sense of richness. Finally, the curve on the G Flex 2 allows the phone to be incredibly durable. As the name suggests, the phone has the ability to flex when put under pressure. Because of this, dropping or sitting on the phone has a much lesser chance of doing any damage than it would with any other handset. Another durability aspect LG threw in with the G Flex 2 is a special coating on the back, which allows the phone to heal itself from any scratches it may gather throughout normal use. While this certainly sounds cool, I was able to get a fairly nasty scratch in the back during my first week with the phone, and that scratch never did go away. Now this leads me to believe that the whole self-healing back thing may be more of a fancy marketing strategy than anything of real use. As for the rest of the design, LG's trademark placement of the power and volume buttons on the back of the phone make a return here to the G Flex 2. Personally, I feel the button placement goes hand in hand with the curved nature of this device. All the buttons are very easy to reach, and they offer a solid clickiness when pressed. To power you through any and all demanding tasks you throw at the phone, the LG G Flex 2 is packing in a Qualcomm Snapdragon 810 processor with 3GB of RAM. The global version of this phone got infamous for sluggish performance, but the variant I have here on AT&T runs like a champ. Games, opening apps, and multitasking all run without a hitch on the phone. I did see a couple instances of stutter when browsing through the home screens and app drawer, but they were few and far between and most likely have more to do with LG's custom software than the processing internals themselves. While the speediness of the phone isn't an issue at all, one area where the G Flex 2 certainly struggles is with its battery life. With an included 3000 mAh unit, you'd expect the phone to get stellar battery performance. Unfortunately, that's simply not the case here. On one day, after only having used the phone for 4 hours and 48 minutes, with just 1 hour and 57 minutes of actual screen on time, I was already down to 25% battery at just 12:59 p.m. Bear in mind that my only use with the phone included Messenger, Twitter, Facebook, about 20 minutes of Google Maps navigation, and one mobile payment via the Starbucks application. For that light of use, there's no reason at all why the phone died so quickly. My guess is that it's due to poor optimization with a Snapdragon 810 processor, seen as the global version had such terrible performance issues. The chipset moves the phone along with plenty of speed, but it does so with a huge hit to the battery life. And with a hit this drastic, it feels like a very sloppy move on LG's part. For all of you shutterbugs out there, we're looking at a 13 megapixel rear-facing camera with optical image stabilization, along with a 2.1 megapixel front-facing shooter on the phone. The front camera does a pretty solid job for selfies and video calls. The wide-angle lens allows you to fit multiple subjects into a shot, and LG's beauty mode provides for some rather hilarious pictures by turning you into a mannequin. The main 13 megapixel camera on the back is fully functional, but nothing about it truly blew me away. When the screen is off, you can hop into the camera app by simply holding down the volume down button on the back of the phone. The viewfinder for the camera is fine, but it's noticeably lacking the impressive manual mode found on the newer G4. Images are crisp, but LG's post-processing tends to muddy up your shots if you do any zooming whatsoever. I got my best results when taking photos outdoors with plenty of natural lighting. However, bringing the phone indoors quickly reduces the overall quality of the images, with colors tending to look rather cool and washed out at times. Pictures taken are fine for uploading to social media, but after having gotten hands-on time with Samsung's Galaxy S6, and seeing some shots people have taken with LG's own G4, I find this camera to be a slight letdown, especially when this is considered to be a flagship smartphone for LG. The G Flex 2 is running Android version 5.0.1 Lollipop out of the box, with LG's own custom skin layered atop stock Android. I've never been a big fan of LG's custom skins on past Android phones, and that's certainly no exception here on the G Flex 2. Everything about the software feels cluttered and messy. Between the busy notification drawer, cluttered settings, and boring aesthetics throughout the whole OS, LG's take on Android looks flat out ugly. Its ugliness aside, LG has added a few additions to the Android OS that actually make it a bit more useful at times. One of the most notable ones is LG's dual window. After hopping into Overview, touch the dual window button and you'll be prompted to select two apps you want to use at the same time on the phone. It's fully serviceable and runs smoothly thanks to the high-end internals, but the feature is limited to only a handful of applications. One of my favorite features in LG's custom software is the ability to add and rearrange your on-screen navigation buttons. In the settings, you have the option to add nav buttons for bringing down your notification drawer, initializing dual window, or to take a screenshot and write a note with LG's Quick Memo app. Overall, the best way to describe the software situation here on the G Flex 2 is functional yet cluttered. It doesn't look good at all, and the phone's packed with tons of features you're probably never going to ever use. There are a few very useful additions scattered here and there, but for the most part, this feels like a skin we would have seen on an Android smartphone over 2 years ago. When I first got the G Flex 2 in for review, I was stoked to get my hands on LG's latest curved flagship. Despite its long list of issues, I was a big fan of the original G Flex, and while the G Flex 2 is technically a superior handset in nearly every single way to its predecessor, I found myself a bit let down by this phone. Thanks to its unique design, there's no doubt at all that the device leaves you with a very good first impression. And along with that design, the G Flex 2 also provides you with an incredible processing speed for even the most intensive of users. Unfortunately, that's really where the pros stop for this phone. The rest of the handset is tarnished by subpar cameras when compared to other flagships we've seen so far this year, terrible battery life, and an Android skin that's both ugly and tremendously cluttered. With a new 2-year contract on AT&T, you'll be shelling out $299 for this phone, or about $709 unlocked. For that high of a premium, I was really expecting more out of the G Flex 2. After having spent quality time with the Samsung Galaxy S6, arguably one of the greatest Android handsets we've ever seen, am I being too harsh on the G Flex 2? I really don't think so. Even though the G4 is LG's latest flagship offering, the G Flex 2 is still considered a flagship device. And there is no reason at all why a flagship device like this should suffer from all of the issues I had with the G Flex 2. I do want to take a very quick minute to thank the awesome folks over at Audible.com for sponsoring today's video of Mobile Cup of Joe. To get your free audiobook download and a 30-day free trial of the service, head on over to www.audibletrial.com/MobileCupOfJoe, where there are over 150,000 titles to choose from on your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or even an MP3 player. Now for me personally, I've been listening to Michael Crichton's Jurassic Park, a very classic sci-fi story. There's got mystery in there, some comedy, even a bit of romance. Really great story, and I wanted to get my mind in the preparation for Jurassic World coming out in a couple weeks. So definitely check out the books they have there. They've got Jurassic Park, The Hobbit, Divergent, and they even have different books about cooking, making tea, whatever you want. Over 150,000 titles to choose from. You're bound to find something you want to listen to on audible.com. So again, to download your free audiobook today, go to audibletrial.com/MobileCupOfJoe. Again, that is audibletrial.com/MobileCupOfJoe for a free 30-day trial of audible.com and a free audiobook of your choice. So there you have it. That is my full review of the LG G Flex 2 on AT&T. If you guys have any further questions regarding this device, please let me know what they may be down in those comments below. If you did enjoy this video, I would really appreciate it if you'd go ahead and click that like button. And if you really loved what you saw here today, it would mean the world to me and everyone here at MobileCupOfJoe if you'd go ahead and click that subscribe button down below the video as well. If you want to stay in touch with us outside of the YouTube channel, head on over to our website at www.MobileCupOfJoe.com and feel free to stay in touch with us on all the social media sites, Twitter, Facebook, and Google+. Just go there and search MobileCupOfJoe. But guys, that's going to about wrap it up here for this video today. I have been Joe Marin. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you guys all have an absolutely fantastic day. See you soon.